7:10 p.m. The first 15,000 fans in attendance will receive a UNS Cespedes bobblehead courtesy of Delta Airlines. For tickets, visit Mets.com/tickets. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Hyundai. There's no better time to buy a new Hyundai than now. See your local Hyundai dealer or visit buyhyundai.com. By Investors Bank, banking in your best interest. And by Jeep, and the unique brand of freedom you'll only find in the full line of Jeep vehicles. Visit Jeep.com to learn more. Sunday, August 20th is a McDonald's Family Sunday. The Mets take on the Marlins at 1:10 p.m. And the first 15,000 fans in attendance will receive a toy truck presented by WB Mason. Plus, all kids 12 and under can run the bases after the game in the Mr. Met Dash, courtesy of Northwell Health. For tickets, visit Mets.com/Family Sundays. Independence Hall, Philadelphia, 1776. That was a long time ago.
Yeah.
The cleanup spot for the first time this season. Wilmer Flores plays first base today, but Dominic Smith will be here to play first base tomorrow and for the foreseeable future, as the Mets try and keep things going at Citizens Bank Park, where they are 36-14 in their last 50 games. As good a stretch as they've had in a road ballpark in many, many years.
Well, they've certainly dominated the Phillies of late. I mean, totally dominated them, home and away.
See that number 10 behind home plate? That is in tribute to the late Darren Daulton, for whom they just had a video appreciation. Daulton passed away on Sunday. He was a great leader for those 1993 Phillies, who were a bunch of characters who got to the World Series that year. Played against Toronto, as tough a guy as there was in the game, and the acknowledged heart and soul of those Phillies teams. Later went on to Miami and won a World Series there in 1997. Passed away from cancer at the very young age of 55 this weekend. and much beloved here in Philadelphia.
Well, I played against Darren, and no, it didn't come easy for Darren. He got sent down. He struggled early in his career, and then it took him a while to become the player that he did, that he became. I mean, and he was the leader in that clubhouse. And there he is right there. It's very sad to see, along with Don Baylor, two guys that passed of late. It's never good to see something like that.
The standings in the National League East. The Phillies just came from Atlanta, where they swept a 2-game series. The Phillies, you see their record, 42-69. They're 11-2 against the Braves, 31-67 against everybody else. It's kind of a quirky thing.
It's why they play the games, Gary.
I knew there was a reason.
That's you know, everybody tries to talk all this reasons why. It's very simple. They got to play the game.
But it is odd that certain teams have certain success against others.
And there's Vince Velasquez right there, his Toyota numbers. And I mentioned in the opener, we've got terrific arm, but 2-6 is not getting it done. And his walks are down. He's got as many hits as innings pitched. But what I see from Vince is that he just doesn't know how to put away hitters, doesn't know how to gets ahead, and with his stuff he should be able to put a hitter away, and he has not been able to accomplish that. And the Coors Light defense, there's the big guy in left field. Rhys Hoskins is going to get his first start tonight in left field. Big prospect. On the infield, Cesar Hernandez has really come up and stepped up and become a quality player in the National League, having a terrific season. Rupp, of course, behind the plate playing with the injured Andrew Knapp, who broke his hand. Sorry, Garrett.
Excuse me. Hoskins, who was just called up today, had never played a professional game in the outfield until this week. He's a first baseman, but with Tommy Joseph entrenched at first for the moment, Hoskins' pass to the big leagues was to move to the outfield. Played 3 games there, and Pete McCannon puts him in the lineup tonight out in left. Spot opened up when Aaron Altair went down with a hamstring injury last week. Altair's been having a great year, but Hoskins is now in there.
They just want him to play, and I'm sure they've told him not to worry. It's a low leverage games for these Phillies, and they want to just get up there and swing the bat.
And if you're going to move a first baseman to the outfield, best in left field in this ballpark where there's just not that much room to cover. Curtis Granderson leads off against Vince Velasquez, and the first pitch of the night is in for a strike, and we're underway.
And Curtis is probably going to get some more playing time against the right-handers.
With Jay Bruce traded, the Mets today activated Juan Lagares off the disabled list. And I have to believe that Lagares is not just going to play against lefties. You've got to see what you have with Juan and whether he can be part of this mix next year.
And also, Gary, with they're going to call up the first baseman tomorrow, the Mets. The youngster that's having such a good year down there, though, I love. And it's going to be a lot of people are going to get a chance to play now.
1-2 to Granderson. Neil Walker's hitting second in the order, then Cespedes behind him. Velasquez has been pitching his best baseball of the year lately. His last 6 starts, 2.96 ERA. That's faced him twice earlier this year. Then he went on the DL with a flexor strain for about a month and a half. He's been back since mid-July.
Well, when you have prospects in the minor leagues on your AAA level that are close to being called up, that's the only bright light when you're having a bad year as a team, is to get these players up and let them play every day in low leverage games. And tomorrow with Dominic Smith, you got Rosario at shortstop. You now have Conforto, which really is a look to the future, in an RBI position in the order. 51 games left, Garrett. That's a good test.
Well, when you talk about low leverage games, they're low leverage in terms of the Mets aren't going anywhere, and the Phillies aren't going anywhere this year. But is it a better test when those young players play against teams that have something to play for, as the Mets will next week?
Well, it's still to me, you always get up for the teams that are the upper division teams. Like Curtis goes down swinging on the breaking ball. When you play the Nationals, certainly it adds a little more intensity to the game. But basically, the teams that are out of it, they're low leverage games, and this is a perfect opportunity to get your young players in there. Let them play. I'm talking from experience, Gary. I struggled in my early career and couldn't get off the snide in the first half, and I was able to play in the second half in low with the Cardinal teams that were out of it, and knowing I was going to play every day. That's a big load off a young kid's mind.
Here's Neil Walker playing third base again today. Made his debut there yesterday. It has really been a struggle for Neil since coming back from the disabled list with his hamstring injury. He's just 4 for 34 in 11 games since coming back, and has hit very few balls hard. Oh, and he breaks his bat as he hits a pop up behind the mound, and Franco comes over to get it for the second out.
Now you look at the stuff of Velasquez right there, a hard cutter late that just literally sawed off the bat of Walker there, and you wonder why this guy hasn't got double-digit wins.
Here's Yoenis Cespedes. Cespedes took an 0 for yesterday after hitting a home run in the opening game of the series against Texas Tuesday night. The Mets, who have had a pretty decent offensive season, had a really poor offensive homestand against the Dodgers and the Rangers. The Mets scored just 10 runs in the 5 games and had a 139 batting average across the 5 games. The lowest team batting average of any homestand in franchise history. Two 2-0 to Cespedes. Vince Velasquez, last year 24 starts, 8-6, 4.12 in his first full year in the big leagues. And he pours one in for a strike, 2-1. Mets saw him last year at his best early last season. He was striking out the world, but he's had some physical issues to deal with since then. Curveball bounces in there, and Velasquez behind 3-1.
I know Terry Collins loves to have, and he has this option with his ball club. He loves that left right, left right. I really thought that he was going to hit Conforto third and put Cespedes cleanup to give Conforto the coverage, the protection, even though you got Flores in the 5-hole.
Hit hard and down the line, and Cespedes has a base hit. Chased down by Williams. Cespedes heads for second. Williams one-hop throw, not in time. Cespedes pops up with a 2-out double.
A little bit off the end of the bat, Gary, and this is what I've seen with Cespedes. That little cutter is that he has not been covering the outside corner, even when his intent that at bat that particular pitch was to go the opposite field. And here, watch him turn it on right here when he realizes it's going to be a close play. And he's one guy that knows how to slide.
15th double of the year for Cespedes. So the Mets have a 2-out base runner. And now here is Conforto. 4th time in his career he's hit cleanup. 1st time this year. Starts the night 8th in the National League in on-base percentage, 10th in slugging percentage. And he's had some success against Velasquez as well. 4 for 7 with a couple of home runs. And he takes the first pitch curveball down for ball 1.
And that's a good sign right there. Michael tends to chase that breaking ball in the dirt. He will get better with that. It's always good to see him take that pitch right there. And he took it with good balance.
23 home runs, 58 driven in, most of that out of the leadoff spot. Now he'll get more opportunities to drive in runs, presumably, hitting down in the order. He's not necessarily going to hit cleanup every day, and I would think, back to what you were saying a moment ago about Terry liking to go left-right, when they bring up Dom Smith, I don't know where he fits into the batting order, but it could be that they bat Conforto third, Cespedes fourth, and Smith fifth.
That would be the ticket I would definitely buy right there. Garrett?
That would give Terry his left, right, left. And the changeup misses, and it's 3-0. Wilmer Flores hitting fifth in the order tonight. He's on deck. Vince Velasquez, just 25 years old, Montclair, California, second-round pick by the Astros in 2010. Came to the Phillies 2 winters ago on the deal for Ken Giles. And a pickoff try, and Cespedes gets back in standing.
Such a good ballpark to hit in. Here you see Cespedes was thinking about sliding, but nah, got back there in plenty of time.
Three 3-0 to Conforto. And he gets a slider for a strike, 3-1.
He's throwing that cutter. Last time he pitched, and remember, he pitched against the Mets in April when the Mets had that first 32 games of the seasons, folks. You remember, it was all in division. And they played the Phillies at home and away. Velasquez pitched twice against them.
Conforto drills one down the line, but that goes foul.
Well,
here is Conforto's 2 home runs against Velasquez, one back in April.
Curveball right there.
That was last year, and then April of this year.
Opposite field, but you know I love. There's not a ballpark that can hold him, and certainly not this one. To the opposite field.
Full count to Michael with Cespedes at second and 2 out. And he gets the curveball for ball 4, and the Mets have 2 men on. So Velasquez wanting no part of Conforto there.
Well, this is the thing right here with Conforto, with Flores behind him and a right-hander. I mean, I'm not going to let Conforto beat me. A nice block by Rupp. If I pick my poison, I'll take Wilmer if I'm a right-hand pitcher. So I think with Conforto in that third hole with Cespedes behind him, oh boy, I want to be in Conforto's uniform.
So 2 out and 2 on for Wilmer. Flores accounted for the Mets' only run yesterday in their 5-1 loss to Texas with his 13th home run of the year. Cespedes at second, Conforto at first with 2 down. We'll say Reyes moved up to 6th in the order. He's waiting on deck. And Velasquez misses away, 1-1.
So Wilmer had a bit of a rough run at it at first base defensively this last series, the 2-game series against Texas. I kind of felt a little bit for him. You know, Wilmer's not a first baseman, and it kind of was glaring. Made a couple mistakes defensively.
He cracks one out to center field, chasing Herrera back, away back near the wall. It's out of here. Wilmer Flores into the shrubbery. Homers for the 2nd straight day. A 3-run shot. Number 14 for Wilmer, and the Mets jump out to an early 3-0 lead.
Well, so much for that choice. Pick your poison, I did say. Both deadly. Right down the pipe. A little below the belt, dead central, and with DeGrom on the mound from an offensive standpoint, if you're offensive team-wise, get on the board early, give your ace the 3, in this case 3 runs. Now DeGrom, you hold it.
So after Velasquez retired the first two, Cespedes an opposite field double, Conforto a semi-pitch around walk, and Flores makes him pay with a 3-run bomb. Now Reyes getting more and more time at second base this last week. And that goes to the backstop. 2-1. Jose just 1 for his last 16 after a hot stretch. For Velasquez, that's 15 home runs allowed in 72 innings this year. You know, going back to last year when Velasquez really looked like he was going to blossom as a star, his walk rate is up, his strikeout rate is down, and his home run rate is up from a year ago. That's not a good combination. He had been pitching very well lately. Last start was in Coors Field, and he gave up just 2 runs in 5 innings and no decision game for him.
Over 10 strikeouts per 9 innings last season.
That's pulled over the bag. That's a fair ball going down the line past a diving Joseph. Jose heads for second as Williams digs out of the corner, and the Mets have their 3rd extra base hit of this opening inning. 18th double of the year for Reyes.
Well, a little challenge at first base defensively. Joseph, kind of a big, cumbersome guy. And it's right down the line there. Nice hitting by Jose. And then again, here's Velasquez getting first 2 outs and then can't get out of an inning.
So now it's the former Phillies prospect Travis d'Arnaud to bat against his original organization. Travis was swinging the bat better second half of the year. Up to 240 on the season, 10 home runs. He had his first Citi Field home run the other day. He had his first 9 on the road. And Velasquez buries the curveball and Rupp blocks it, ball 1.
Can't get his curveball over. Throws it in the dirt. Got to come in with the fastball. Got hurt with Flores with the fastball.
Reyes at second and 2 down. Velasquez doesn't help himself either by working at a glacial pace.
They say that he's kind of a macho guy that gets kind of caught up in trying to throw it through a brick wall.
This is away, 2-0. Just watching a moment ago as Velasquez taking so much time. Odubel Herrera in center field just jumping up and down, trying to keep himself loose and on his toes. It'll be so hard to work behind a guy who's not only struggling, but struggling to get rid of the baseball. And now he's behind 3-0 on d'Arnaud, pitching like he doesn't want any part of him either. You got Ahmed Rosario on deck.
Well, the Phillies are used to this, and there's lots of culprits here. The Phillies don't score a lot of runs. They're offensively challenged as well.
Pitching's been a lot better than their offense so far this year. There's a strike, 3-1. 31 pitches already for Velasquez in this opening inning. Yesterday we witnessed Rafael Montero threw 40 pitches in the first inning.
I watched.
Every one of them?
I watched. From my couch with Haji.
Did you watch every one of the 210 pitches the
I
Mets
did not.
threw yesterday?
I didn't.
There goes Reyes, and it's drilled to left field. First chance for Hoskins, and he picks off the line drive to end the inning. So Rhys Hoskins in his first big league game grabs the line drive, but it's Wilmer Flores who grabs the laurels at the top of the first. 3-run shot, 14th of the year. And Mets hand Jacob DeGrom a 3-0 lead. tonight. Cesar Hernandez was hurt the last time the Mets played the Phillies. He's an important piece of their offense. Gets on base as a leadoff hitter. Very disappointing year for Maikel Franco, but encouraging signs from Nick Williams, who made his debut against the Mets the last time we saw the Phils. And tonight it's Rhys Hoskins making his big league debut against Jacob DeGrom.
Land Rover numbers for Big Jake, the ace of this staff. Outstanding, trying to snap a 2-game losing streak.
And Cesar Hernandez takes the first pitch for a strike. Hernandez, now with an oblique injury, missed 6 weeks. 363 on base percentage. It was 370 last year, so he's been pretty consistent at getting on base from both sides of the plate. Well, interestingly, after Vince Velasquez threw 32 pitches in that first inning, none faster than 92 miles an hour, Mark Leiter Jr. is up in the Phillies bullpen. So perhaps they are concerned there is something wrong with Velasquez.
Oh, where was that pitch?
DeGrom thought he should have had it.
Geez, Mr. Nelson.
Jeff Nelson, the home plate umpire.
It's right there.
Right down the middle. It's even further inside than he intended it.
I know it's a long year, but let's go.
Jeff Nelson, the crew chief. Rookie umpire Roberto Ortiz at first. Corey Blazer and Doug Eddings rounding out the crew. Jeff Nelson, not the guy with the frisbee slider.
No.
Big tall guy who pitched for the Yankees.
Yes. And Seattle, correct?
1-2 to her, who have never beaten Jacob DeGrom. It's 5-0 lifetime, and the Mets are 9-0 in his 9 career starts against the Phils. 3-2 coming, and Hernandez pulls one foul. The last time DeGrom faced the Phillies here in New York in late June, he struck out 12 over 7 innings. Allowed just 3 hits that night, a dominating 2-1 win. It was during his 8-start winning streak that came to an end in Seattle. He's lost his last 2. Gave up home runs in each of the first 2 innings against the Dodgers his last time out. And Hernandez fouls one at his feet.
Well, he's making DeGrom work. Another leadoff hitter that, his last start. Leadoff hitter for the Dodgers, hit a home run, had a big multi-pitch at bat.
That was Chris Taylor on the 9th pitch that DeGrom threw.
But DeGrom should have dispatched Hernandez a long time ago.
And the 9th pitch of this at bat, and that's in there for a call, 3rd strike. This time he got the call on the backdoor slider, and he's got his first strikeout of the night. So 1 away.
Yes, sir.
DeGrom's already had 8 double-digit strikeout games this year. It's not quite Chris Sale, but it's not bad. With Freddie Galvis. Galvis had a little better year than last year when he really struggled to get on base. 306 on base percentage, nothing to write home about, but it's about 30 points higher than last year. Switch hitter batting left, and he takes the slider low and in for ball 1. Galvis has had a little success against DeGrom, 6 for 19 in his career.
Galvis had a good year last year. This year, not so grand. I noticed early, Gary, that he was, like everybody else, going with that new theory of hitting the ball in the air. A lot of big uppercut. He's a little guy. He's a table setter. He should be hitting line drives.
And a knee-high fastball for a strike. 98 from DeGrom. Not sure we've seen 98 from Jake this year.
Well, I think Jake is determined to get back on the win column, Gary.
1-2 coming. Yeah, it's in there for a call, strike 3. Knees in black. Back-to-back call, 3rd strikes for DeGrom. And he's got the first 2 outs.
Lex's Mets defense. Curtis Granderson in right field. Conforto will stay in center. There was a question whether Conforto would play right field and Granderson in center, but Conforto remains in center field. Rosario at short. Darno now was starting to swing the bat good. The second half's getting a lot more playing time.
So 2 on now. Here's Odubel Herrera, who's been hot with the bat. It's a 12-game hitting streak. hitting .383 over the 12 games. Last night in Atlanta, Herrera had triples each of his first 2 at-bats. Last Philly to do that was Lenny Dykstra in 1991. He had had only 1 triple all year before last night when he tripled in his first 2 at-bats. Rolled slowly out to Reyes. Comes in to get it, and that retires the side. Dominating first inning for DeGrom with a couple of strikeouts. 3-0 Mets after 1. Oh, look, there's the Ben Franklin Bridge. Connecting New Jersey with downtown Philadelphia. And there is Center City, Philadelphia, where the buildings are not all that high. No skyscrapers.
Didn't used to be able to go higher than the William Penn building. That's no longer.
Billy Penn's hat was the height restriction. Top City Hall.
I remember in the 70s that City Hall, and with William Penn on the top, it was so dirty and full of smut over the decades. As Mark Leiter Jr. takes the mound at his 19th game, son obviously of Mark Leiter Sr., who pitched for the Yankees and a bunch of teams in the American and National League,
and the nephew of Al Leiter, with whom the fans are much better acquainted. Ahmed Rosario first to face him, and he lines it right back to Leiter, who snags it for the out. Well, that'll get you woken up in a hurry.
Well, he didn't expect to be in the second inning.
Well, I have to believe that there is something physically wrong with Vince Velasquez. Remember, he missed 6 weeks with a flexor strain and just came back about 3 weeks ago. So we'll wait to hear a report from the Phillies on that. Meanwhile, Jacob DeGrom looks for his 14th hit of the year, and he takes a strike.
Boy, it's a whole different atmosphere coming here tonight. I remember I missed the first series here, Gare. We all remember the glory years here when it was packed every night, sell out every night on those good Philly teams. Those days are gone.
I have to say, though, considering the records of the two teams, not a bad crowd tonight. And DeGrom swings and misses. It gets by Rupp. He runs it down, and the throw to first is in time to get DeGrom. Jake didn't realize for a moment that the ball had gotten away, and Rupp able to go to the backstop and throw him out.
Well, a longer throw, so to speak, for the catcher Rupp, but he's in a first base outside the line, folks. You want to give that target to your catcher.
So Leiter's retired his first two, and now Curtis Granderson, who struck out his first time up.
And of course, the big shift on for Curtis that we've seen all more than a few years now, the pyramid positioning of the infielders.
Pyramid, huh?
Yeah. And it's not an isosceles triangle.
I was thinking, you know, when you said pyramid, I was thinking like cheerleaders all stacked up.
I don't think you can make that connection there. I think you're way off base.
Or I was thinking somewhere out in the desert in Egypt. Normally, we think of it as a triangle.
I like the pyramid better.
You could have called it a prism.
Could have.
Yeah. Only if it bent the light. 3-2 to Granderson. Curtis struck out his first time up. Mark Leiter's last outing in Colorado, he struck out 9 batters in 4 1/3 in relief. One of his best outings. Granderson lifts one to shallow left. A long run in for Hoskins, but he'll get there to retire the side. So Leiter pressed into service in long relief, retires the Mets 1-2-3. Middle of the second, 3-0 New York. Philadelphia Mets with a 3-0 lead on the strength of Wilmer Flores' first inning 3-run homer. Michael Franco leads off the home second for the Phillies. It has been a really disappointing year for the 24-year-old Franco, whom the Phillies saw as a linchpin for the middle of their batting order. 25 home runs last year, but his numbers are all down this season.
Well, he's got 17 home runs, but everybody's home runs are up this year. And even though he's come down with, he just hasn't, the batting average is not there. And he's always was a free swinger, a long swinger. And, you You know, the pitching catches up. If you don't make adjustments, Gary, you keep making the same mistakes, they're going to get you out.
Hit over the bag and just foul. 0-2 to Franco. Nick Williams on deck, then Tommy Joseph for the Phillies in the second. The Phillies come into the day second to last in the National League in runs scored, third from the bottom in home runs, third from the bottom in on base percentage. So the offense has struggled for most of the year. And Franco fouls off the slider, still 0-2. There's Nick Williams, who's pretty impressive so far over his first 6 weeks with the Phillies. DeGrom goes away at 97 miles an hour, 1-2.
Franco is a guy that will chase bad breaking balls.
One-two coming, and he lines one to the gap in right center field. Back goes Granderson, but it's by him and one hop to the wall. And Franco pulls him at second base. He's got the Phillies' first hit, a leadoff double.
Bit surprised at the fastball, and you know I like pitchers that go after hitters, but with a guy like Franco, fastball hitter, and a guy that chases bad breaking balls, ahead in the count, he had another pitch to kind of see if he would chase a bad breaking ball, but he goes the other way with his fastball away.
20th double of the year for Franco. And now Nick Williams, the young right fielder. Phillies got him in the deal for Cole Hamels 2 summers ago. First pitch curveball misses from DeGrom. Williams threw his first 121 at bats, hitting .289, 5 home runs, .529 slugging percentage, so he's done well. He's had some problems on the bases, but his bat has played fine. And DeGrom throws another curveball, gets even 1-1.
6'3", 195 pounds. There you go. Beat you to it, guys in the truck. Galveston, Texas.
We were just hoping he hadn't grown. Galveston, Texas is more football country, and Williams was a big-time football player in high school.
Galveston, the passing of Glenn Campbell has hit Galveston. Such a great musician, one of the great session guitarists. Glenn Campbell really brought country music to pop. Just passed away, suffered from Alzheimer's for many years.
Better curveball by DeGrom, 2-2. What I didn't realize until I read the obit for Glenn Campbell is that for a time in the 60s he was with the Beach Boys. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Yeah, for about a year.
Really?
Yeah. When Brian Wilson took himself off the road because he had his own issues, Glenn Campbell took his place.
Wow.
Franco at second and nobody out. 2-2 coming to Williams, and the curveball strikes him out. Steady diet occurs from DeGrom, and he has his third strikeout. That's the first out of the inning.
Backdoor slider to the left-handers.
So 1 out. Franco still at second. Here's Tommy Joseph. Last time we were here, the Phillies were talking about Rhys Hoskins, who's now out on deck, and how they were going to get him to the big leagues. And what was blocking his path was the fact that Tommy Joseph has been surprisingly effective for them. Joseph lifts one into right center, and Conforto calls for it, and that's the second out. Franco holds it second, but they finally decided it was time to find a place for Hoskins, so they moved him to the outfield. This way Joseph can still play first base, and Hoskins is now ready for his first big league plate appearance, and you see why they like him so much, all those home runs in AAA.
A lot of RBIs. Nice ovation. Welcome to the big leagues.
Well, you know, the Phillies have sold their fans on a complete rebuild, and they've got a number of outstanding prospects, many of whom they acquired in the trades when they dealt away Giles and when they dealt away Hamels and when they dealt away Papelbon. Well, this is a guy who was drafted and developed by the Phillies. Hoskins out of Cal State Sacramento, 5th round pick in 2014.
Another big guy. They're all huge. 6'4", 225, 24 years of age.
In addition to the fact that he put up those big home run numbers, the Phillies also like the fact that Hoskins walks a lot and does not strike out as much as a lot of young power hitters. 36 home runs in the minor leagues last year.
That was a big, strong kid.
Two balls and a strike.
Just wondering what's going through DeGrom's mind. You know, you've got a minor league scouting report. It's a guy that's hit, like Gary said, 36 home runs, 29 this year, pitching in a bandbox. Even though he's an untested player, you've got to be a little careful.
Cameron Rupp, the number 8 hitter, on deck. And Hoskins yanks one foul. Well, getting that changeup up, and it's 2-2.
This is part of the feeling out process right now when you have a new player in the league.
Jake taking a lot more time than he's accustomed to, and now Darno's going to come out for a conversation. Now DeGrom ready for the 2-2. And Hoskins takes a call, third strike, inning over. 4 strikeouts in the first 2 innings for DeGrom as he strands Franco after a leadoff double. After 2 in Philadelphia, 3-0 New York. Stay connected with a fully customizable experience with the MLB.com at Bat app. Get New York Mets home screen icons and app features, as well as game day, live game video highlights, radio broadcasts, StatCast, news, and more. Download MLB.com at Bat today. Neil Walker leads off the third inning against Mark Leiter Jr. His second inning of relief. Neil Walker drives one to deep right field, headed toward the wall. It's out of here. Mets' second home run of the night. Walker with his 10th of the year, and it's 4-0 New York. You know, things have not been going well for Neil since coming back from the DL, so that's going to feel awfully good. First pitch from Mark Leiter, and he buries it.
No first ball fastball hitting, Gare. Pitch right in his wheelhouse. And maybe that's a sign that he's coming out of it, because you are right, he has struggled.
We've gotten a medical word on Vince Velasquez and why he left the game. Numbness in his right middle finger. Velasquez threw 32 pitches in that first inning and then exited.
Oh, full extension right down the inner half. That's wheelhouse. I don't know why pitchers continue to want to throw down in the strike zone.
1-1 to Cespedes, who poked a double down the right field line his first time up and scored in front of the Flores home run. Mets continue to produce with the long ball and the long ball alone. 8 home runs during the homestand, accounting for 9 of the 10 runs they scored. 4 runs in this game, and home runs have produced all 4. Now, the Mets have just clobbered the baseball in this ballpark over the last few years. We mentioned they're 36-14 in their last 50 games at Citizens Bank Park. Leiter gets Cespedes with the breaking ball for his second strikeout. Mark Leiter Jr. does not throw hard, but he throws the kitchen sink.
Oh, it's a
little splitter there.
Yeah, splitter.
Mark is the first big leaguer from the New Jersey Institute of Technology.
Really?
NJIT in Newark is where he went to school, and the first to make it to the big leagues from there. Michael Conforto takes a strike. Conforto walked his first time up. That was that last outing that he had in Colorado. What a big number that is. 9 strikeouts. Most for a Phillies reliever since 1970. 1970.
Really?
Lowell Palmer had 10 strikeouts against the Giants in a relief outing in 1970. Leiter was the most for a Phillies reliever since then.
I faced Lowell Palmer down in AAA when he got sent down in 74 and 75. He was with Oklahoma City.
Honestly, I don't even remember the name.
I do, because I remember he was, when you're a young kid coming in playing AAA, and the guys that don't make it come down, they kind of, they get your attention. Do you know who I faced in AAA when I was 20 years old? For the White Sox, you pitched for the White Sox and was good. Joe Harlan.
Joe Harlan.
Great curveball.
A terrific pitcher. He and Gary Peters were the mainstays of that staff in the mid-60s.
He was like 32 years old. What was he doing in AAA?
It's an old saying, Keith, as Conforto chases and strikes out. Third strikeout for Leiter in relief. There's an old saying, Keith. You meet the same people on the way up that you meet on the way down.
Yes, you're right. Let's see this. That ball, that's a splitter right there. That ball just ran away.
So 2 out now. Wilmer, who hit one into the shrubbery in center field for a 3-run homer his first time up, and he takes a curveball out of the strike zone.
I'm telling you, the split finger fastball is the most effective pitch I know that they kind of frown on it today, and our colleague Ron Darling, who threw it pretty good for most of his career, said does create a little problem with the forearm.
Well, with all the problems that pitchers have staying healthy these days, hey, I think there are very few pitches, and the fastball is first among them, that don't produce some kind of stress on your arm. I mean, if you talk to the folks who have studied it scientifically, velocity creates the most pressure on pitchers' elbows, not splitters.
I'd love to be playing today. I wouldn't have to face that pitch.
I think it's coming back, to be honest. That's hit hard down the line, and Flores has another extra base hit. That'll go all the way into the corner. So Wilmer is 2 for 2, a 3-run homer, and now a 2-out double.
This was a splitter, I believe, that stayed up. And one thing about the splitter, when you hang it, it just floats right there for you to hit on a tee. Nice shot right there, just out of the reach of Franco.
That's 5 hits in this game. All 5 have been for extra bases, 3 doubles and 2 home runs. Reyes had a double his first time up. He pulled one over the first base bag that went past Tommy Joseph and down the line. Now he bats with Flores at second and 2 down, with the Mets already up 4-0 in the third. And takes a fastball for a strike. For Jose, the double was just his second hit in his last 17 at bats. Late swing foul, 0-2. So the medical report on Velasquez, numbness in his middle finger on his pitching hand, that has to be of some concern. Of course, the Mets had a pitcher with numbness in his pitching hand last week. That was Hansel Robles, and they got him an MRI, checked him out, and it turned out he was just fine. And you hope that's the case with Velasquez. And Reyes chases out of the strike zone, and Leiter strikes out 3 in the inning. But along the way, Walker with a home run, making it 4-0 Mets in the third.
Prospects. Okay, there are only 2 elements to any deal. One is money and the other is prospects. So to the extent that a team just doesn't want to give up prospects, then you have to try to maximize the deal in other ways. Sometimes it's, instead of getting one really good prospect, you end up getting 2 or 3 middling prospects. Sometimes it's not getting quite as much of the salary covered, and adding a prospect. It's a different mix every time. And so, no, our goal was not to save money. Our goal was to, and I think I said this, a few weeks ago, one of the primary motivations was to create playing time opportunity for other players.
Sandy Alderson talking today about the trade of Jay Bruce last night to the Indians in exchange for a minor league pitcher, Ryder Ryan. As Cameron Rupp leads off the third here, that's the quote of the game presented by Investors Bank, banking in your best interest. And I know there are a lot of Met fans very upset today because the perception is that the Mets went for the cash rather than going for the best prospects that they could have gotten for Jay Bruce. Strike three called, and that's 5 strikeouts for Jacob DeGrom. Because there's a report out that the Yankees were willing to give up 2 maybe slightly better prospects, but they weren't willing to pick up all of the salary. And I think Sandy's trying to explain that in any deal you have to balance what you get. You get money back, you get players back, and in this case they felt that was the best deal.
Well, on the face of it, this trade looks like you're trading an all-star right fielder, a perennial home run hitter, and you're getting a 30th round pick that in college wasn't a pitcher. And doesn't have sparkling statistics in his brief minor league career. And I would be inclined to think that way. I do feel that, Gary, this was basically a salary dump. I'm sorry, that's just my opinion. That's what I feel. The Mets have already traded Addison Reed. They've already traded Lucas Duda. This is the 3rd trade, all for relief pitchers, and maybe not ready to help the club next year. More than likely, certainly Ryder is not going to be one that's going to be ready. He hasn't been out of A-ball. So the Mets are in transformation here. And the other side of the thing is, I agree with what Sandy said about him making room now, because Dominic Smith is coming up. That opens up for Dominic Smith. Because your real 2 key elements here, 3 key elements for the future are Rosario, Smith, and Conforto.
I don't think anybody would argue that trading your pending free agents when your team is out of the race in August is the smart thing to do. You want to get something back for them before they could become free agents. There used to be more of an incentive to hang on to a guy like Bruce through the end of the season, because if you made him a qualifying offer in the offseason, you'd get back a draft pick late in the 1st round. Now that's changed. The draft pick compensation would be more like a 3rd rounder, so the balance is a little different in terms of considering whether to keep him. But there's another element here too, and Sandy was asked questions about this today as Leiter strikes out, and DeGrom has piled up 6 strikeouts first time through the batting order, and that is the perception that the Mets are reluctant to trade with the Yankees. And Sandy later talked to some writers and intimated that maybe the Mets have talked to the Yankees and came very close to making a trade with the Yankees before the trading deadline. I think there's a small other consideration too, and I don't think this is on Sandy's part, but I think there are certain people in the organization who might feel this way. The timing of it. The Mets are playing the Yankees next week. They're playing 4 games with them, 2 in the Bronx and 2 at Citi Field, and I can understand there might be some discomfort at the idea of trading Jay Bruce to the Yankees right before the Mets play the Yankees and having him potentially have a big series against them.
Well, my feeling is it's the Yankees, to me, for the Met organization, is like trading in division. And you don't like to trade in division. And to me, it shouldn't matter if the better prospects can be had. I know that the Yankees weren't willing to pick up all the salary.
Right. That's the report. Anyway.
Right. That's what's been reported. But if the better prospects are with the Yankees, you know what? It's Lucas Duda. Evidently, the Yankees had some interest in him also. And why not? That ballpark's made for Duda, and it's made for Jay Bruce, which would make me inclined to think, Gary, that when Sandy talks about maximizing a trade, well, that would maximize a trade if we wanted to get into the Yankee minor league and into their prospects, because they've got 2 guys that can knock the ball out of that short right field porch.
I guess if you take the bigger picture on Bruce, I mean, we don't know what the Yankees offered in terms of prospects for him, or whether there were substantive talks about Duda and what they offered for that. But remember this, the Mets have been trying to trade Jay Bruce since last November. and never felt as though they were getting full value. Well, chopper over the mound and DeGrom gets it. So they finally trade him all these months later at a time when his contract is expiring. If they were getting great offers for him all along, they would have taken it a long time ago. So I think part of the problem is that what Bruce brings to the table is a lot of in baseball right now. A lot of home run hitters out there. 4-0 Mets after 3. We'll talk more when we come back. Darno leads off against Mark Leiter, who starts his 3rd inning of relief. Travis hit the ball hard his first time up, lined out to Hoskins in left field. And a ground ball right at Hernandez, and he throws out Darno one away. Just want to elaborate on that last point I made before the break, Keith. I think that sometimes we forget that when you're trying to trade somebody, that teams you're trading them to have a lot of options, and in periods of scarcity in a certain position or a certain talent, you can make a killing.
Right.
But in a year when home runs are rife throughout the game, and Jay Bruce was having a great year by any measure, 29 home runs, but there are a lot of home run hitters out there. A lot of teams have home run hitters. There's not a great need for home run hitters because it's up and down baseball. Home run hitters are flourishing.
Right. It's all about pitching right now and building up your pitching. And, got him.
Rosario is drilled, and he'll go to first base. So Rosario has yet to draw his first big league walk. Gets aboard in a different way.
Fastball wants to set up inside. Just, oh boy, I got him in the hand. Top hand or the bottom hand?
Ray Ramirez out to have a look. Terry Collins will take a gander as well.
He's all right. You know, another thing too, Garrett, that comes into consideration, and I think it's a big point, is that Bruce is going to be a free agent. A lot of times the trades in the past, remember, clubs wouldn't trade for a guy in a free agent year unless they got a guarantee from that player that he would sign. But you're going to get a guy then for 2 months, and he could be gone.
Right. Well, if he were under control beyond this year, he would have gotten a bigger return.
Absolutely.
Right. I mean, if a team wants to trade, I mean, that's why before the trading deadline there was so much conversation about, well, maybe the Mets will trade Jacob DeGrom because he's under control. It's a top-notch pitcher under control. They would bring back an enormous basket of prospects. Of course, the Mets weren't willing to do that, and I think rightfully so. But that's why you would even have that conversation, because a player under control who is you project as a productive player for the next several years brings back that much more in a return.
And that feeds back into what you said, that the value, you said DeGrom, the value is with pitching, not offense.
It's all about
everybody's got offense today.
It's supply and demand. That's what it is.
Exactly.
I mean,
free market.
3 or 4 years ago, it would have been exactly the opposite. Rosario takes off. Rupp's throw is on the money, and he got it. So Rosario, who's stolen one base, gets caught for the first time.
Well, it's almost an automatic. Well, it's not an automatic challenge, but it's automatic indication for the bench for Terry Collins. And this is the point you made, Gary, about cutaway. He beat that's a stolen base. Oh, he came off. Did he hold the tag on him?
I don't think he's held the tag on him. The ruling was that he got him initially.
It's just can't tell.
I mean, when he came off the bag, Galvis was no longer tagging him. Mets are not going to challenge. So it's a 2-6 caught stealing for the second out. And that one's knocked down by Rupp, 1-2.
Here it is one more time. He hit the base. It's a bad slide. Look at that. He's on the corner of the base. That's a terrible slide. The sliding is just atrocious in Major League Baseball today.
And DeGrom strikes out on the splitter. That's 5 strikeouts in 3 innings for Mark Leiter Jr. DeGrom will head back to the mound to do what he does best. He's got a 4-0 lead.
Certainly dealing with the Yankees would be a factor, just like dealing with the Washington Nationals would be a factor, just like dealing with Miami would have been a factor, presumably for them with A.J. Ramos. It didn't seem to bother them. Certainly didn't bother us that we were sending 2 prospects to them. So I think it would be foolish for me to say it doesn't matter. But at the same time, is it prohibitive? No.
That's Sandy Alderson talking about making deals with the crosstown team, which the Mets did not do. There's been a little bit of back and forth going on about that over the last few hours. There's Freddie Galvis leading off in the home 4th inning, and he takes a strike. But I go back to what I said before. I think it's not just about dealing with the Yankees. It's about dealing with the Yankees the week before you play them. And I think
I agree.
For at least some in the organization, I think that certainly is a factor.
It would be like a thumb in your eye if Jay Bruce has a 4-game series and drives in 8 to 10 runs.
By the way, the Mets have more guys who are potential free agents who are still on the block, presuming they clear waivers in August and can be dealt.
And that would be Cabrera, Walker, and Granderson.
There's one guy who's a potential free agent but has an option on his contract for next year, who everybody seems to be calling the Mets about, but they certainly appear to have no intention of dealing, and that's Jerry Blevins, because I think the Mets very much want to exercise their option on Blevins and bring him back next year. Galvis takes it high. Blevins is an essential part of next year's rebuilt Mets bullpen. I think that's the way they look at it, along with Familia and Ramos.
He's not an untouchable in my eye.
Well,
I mean, that's no criticism of Jerry. Jerry's been fantastic. He's great in the clubhouse, but if something tantalizing comes up and it's younger and it's with what you're doing, in a heartbeat.
Yeah, but again, we're talking about a player under control, right? Because he has that option for a relatively inexpensive ticket next year. Makes him more attractive, and would cost a team trading for him that much more to entice the Mets to let go of him. 3-2 to Galvis, and he struck him out. That is 7 strikeouts through the first 11 batters for Jacob DeGrom tonight. He is on.
Well, sort of toying with them right now. Now he's getting that hard slider down and in. And look, there's no, in Blevins' case, there's no great rush. I mean, you have winter meetings in the offseason. They have control of Blevins. They can entertain lots from other ball clubs any offer they want.
Here's Herrera running up and taking a ball. I just think, from what I have gathered from folks in the Mets organization, that Blevins is not going anywhere. One of the reasons they traded for A.J. Ramos, because they realize how much better this bullpen has to be next year. And they traded Addison Reed because he was going to be a free agent, and brought back Ramos in a separate deal because he is under control for next year. Now they just have to get Familia back. Hopefully that'll be in the next
That'll
few,
be a
next
big
few
help.
weeks.
That'll be a huge addition.
Well, one guy who appears to be pushing closer to coming back is Matt Harvey. He is now scheduled to make his first rehab start day after tomorrow for Brooklyn. Probably only go a couple of innings, but that will start his clock on his rehab assignment. So that's a nice push in the right direction. Noah Syndergaard appears to be a few weeks behind that. Taken low by Herrera, and it's 3-1. Herrera goes after the fastball, and it's 3-2. Phillies have had just one base runner tonight. Maikel Franco doubled to lead off the second. He's on deck. DeGrom got the next 3 hitters out, retired the side in order in the third, and has a strikeout to start the fourth.
A lot of swinging and missing here from the Phillies.
Jake already has 7 strikeouts tonight. Popped up. Rosario with the easy play. 2 out. DeGrom against the Phillies has been a pretty solid proposition. And it has been again tonight so far. Franco double to right center for the only Philadelphia hit.
Well, DeGrom is one of the elite pitchers in Major League Baseball. There's no question.
And Franco whacks one on the ground. Ranging wide as Walker to get it, and that retires the side. He'll play just his second game as a Met at third base, and looking good snagging that ground ball. Still 4-0 New York. Up 4-0. Let's check in with Steve Gelbs. His report tonight is brought to you by Volkswagen. Steve?
Gary, you guys have been talking so much about the Jay Bruce deal, and one person who had a lot to say about Michael Conforto about Jay Bruce before the game today was, you guessed it, Michael Conforto. As we know, Bruce had become quite the mentor to Conforto over the last year, and of all the takeaways that Conforto had from his conversations over the year with Jay Bruce, he said the one thing that really sticks out to him was how Bruce put the game in perspective for Conforto. He said that Bruce would constantly remind him to think about where he was in the major leagues and not take it for granted. He said too often guys get caught up in what they're doing on a day in, day out basis and forget where they actually are. And Bruce would tell Conforto that if you do that, you're doing yourself a disservice. And when Conforto was being honest with himself, he said during the struggles last year, he did get away from appreciating where he was, but not just listening to Jay Bruce, but seeing how he put those words into action on a daily basis, worked the same way every day. Said it really changed how Conforto approaches the game day in, day out.
Well, there's no question that in good times and bad, as Granderson lines one to right and Nick Williams grabs it for the first out. In good times and bad, Jay Bruce played as hard as you can play. I mean, he was not often productive for the Mets when he came here from Cincinnati last year. But you could never question his work ethic, and the same was true this year, whether the team was going well earlier in the year or poorly lately. He went out there and played hard every day.
Yeah, Jay wouldn't have been one of those guys that said he doesn't like to play day games. He was a trooper, consummate professional.
Neil Walker bangs one toward the middle, and he's got his second hit of the night. So Walker's night going better than it has since coming back from the DL. Home run, a single, a nice play at third base. Well, Jay Bruce joined the Mets at the trading deadline last year, and it did not go well for him until the last week of the season. And after a winter of speculation that he was going to be traded, he came out this year and turned things completely around. He just had a wonderful year for the Mets over the 4.5 months he was here this year.
Well, he's going to a team that's 4 games in front starting tonight in Cleveland. Pretty much the same situation that he was in last year with the Mets.
And you know, there's another parallel as well, and this is interesting. It'll be interesting to watch how it plays out. By the way, he's not in the lineup for the Indians tonight. They're playing at Tampa Bay. He's there, but apparently he's going to make his first start for the Indians tomorrow. Remember last year, Jay led the National League in RBIs at the time that he was traded to the Mets. But his last week with the Reds, he had gone into a little bit of a slump as that ball gets away from Rupp, and down to second base goes Walker on the wild pitch. So he slumped his last week with the Reds, and he was never able to get it going with the Mets until really the last week of the season. Well, just as a side note, Bruce, who had such a good year for the Mets this year, went 0 for his last 16. So I wonder, in this case, going to a new team, whether he can pick it up quickly.
It's not the big spotlight of New York. It's Cleveland. I certainly wish him all the best. I hope that he stars there. He's a good guy, good teammate.
Herrera squeezes Cespedes' fly ball. Walker tags and goes to third, and there are 2 out. Now Michael Conforto.
And guys, to further this storyline from the Mets perspective, we've talked about how Dominic Smith is coming up tomorrow. I asked Michael Conforto if having a mentor like Jay Bruce has made him think at all about the type of player he wants to be later in his career, how he wants to mentor young players, and he said it absolutely has. But interestingly enough, Jay Bruce told him you don't need to wait until you're a veteran. With the guys like Ahmed Rosario and Dominic Smith, you need to be a mentor to them right now. Bruce, like Conforto, shot up through the minor league system with the Reds, and just like Conforto, played with some players in the minors and then rejoined them after a little while in the major leagues. And he said it is critical as a peer of theirs to show them the way to enter the major leagues and not again wait until you're a veteran player.
Well, Bruce took Conforto under his wing, and Conforto is a sponge. He's a listener. Why not? But life goes on. There's trades that are made. You have teammates that you're sometimes, rarely, you're happy they were traded, but most of the time you're unhappy. But you got to go forward and continue to do your job.
Well, and that's got to be the hardest part for a team that had great expectations when the year began. And now here we are, 51 games to go in the season, and they're basically tearing it down. I mean, you already traded Duda, you traded Reed, you traded Bruce. You basically said you're playing for next year, and I wonder how hard it is to keep going out there and giving it 100% for the last 7 weeks of the season, where basically management has said this year is over.
It is called pride and performance, Gary.
Conforto grounds out to Galvis. That ends the inning. Halfway through, 4-0 New York. DeGrom rolling through the first 4, allowing just 1 hit and striking out 7. He'll take on Nick Williams to start the bottom of the 5th. Just want to go back to the point I made before the break, Keith. I guess my question was, is it harder in a year that begins with great expectations for a team, and particularly veteran players, to make it through these last couple of months when those expectations have melted away?
I still say pride and performance, Gary. That has to be to the forefront. That you're a 1 of 25. You can only contribute. Certainly, certain guys contribute more. It's not just 1/25th of a contribution to a team, whether win or lose. Others have more impact, obviously, but you can only do what you can do, and whatever the other failings are, which result in a very disappointing season, make sure that you are the one that's not on that list. That's George Hendrick told me that a long time ago, and it doesn't mean being selfish. It's kind of a funny game. It's you and the pitcher in a way it's very individualistic. It's like a tennis match, McEnroe and Borg, but it's also a team involvement too. So the team becomes more important. Strike 3 right now. DeGrom is just totally in command.
8 strikeouts now for Jake as he gets Williams with the curveball. And he's now retired 10 in a row. Now Tommy Joseph.
So my point is, you go out there and you play the best of your abilities. Do you want to go up there, Gary, and give away at bats because the season didn't turn out? It could be a miserable season and make it worse. You know, there's nothing. I can't imagine playing for a team that had a disappointing year and hitting 220. Am I making sense?
I'm just wondering. I'm trying to think back over your career whether there was a team where there were great expectations and it ended up like this. I don't think there have been too many years like this in Mets history. I think of 1992.
I wasn't here.
When they brought in, you were gone by that, and they brought in Bonilla and Saberhagen and Eddie Murray the year before, and they were expecting to be, you know, a big time team. Vince Coleman had come in '91. That's up the middle on a base hit for Tommy Joseph. Just the second hit against DeGrom. To me, that's the year that's most comparable with this season because, you know, the Mets had championship aspirations. They spent a lot of money. They accumulated what they thought was a good team, and they were terrible that year. And this year you've had a lot of injuries and underperformance, and you've gone from a team that had World Series aspirations to one that is trading away veteran players. So I'm thinking that this is a kind of, it's not your garden variety bad season. It's one. I'm wondering whether it's harder because the expectations were so large.
Well, I've never, like you said, for the younger players, it shouldn't be an issue. They've got motivation. The veteran players, okay, fine. With the Mets, I never really had a disappointing season in my tenure with New York. We fell short all but 2 times. But we never had a season where we were out of it.
Right.
We were always in contention.
Even in '87, when you lost all your pitchers, you were still in it late.
The only year that I can say was comparable would have been 1980, after we had a pretty good year, finished 3rd. Templeton and myself we were up and coming at Ted Simmons, and we just had a miserable year from the very get-go. And couldn't get it on track. Ken Boyer would get it fired in the latter second half of the season and ushered in Whitey Herzog. But I wound up that year. I was coming off the MVP year. I lost the batting title for the second time. It's been 2 in a row by a point to Buckner, 2 points to Buckner the last day of the season.
So circling back to what Steve was talking about mentor relationships, does it behoove the veteran players in a situation like this to do that much more to make sure that things stay together?
Look at Jay Bruce, how he conducted himself this year. Okay, it's been a disappointing year just as much for him as it is for Granderson. Granderson's another example. You come out every day.
Sharply hit, Reyes to Rosario, and back to first, and they double up Hoskins to end the inning.
So you come out every day and you do your work. You set an example for everybody else. You do not succumb to the negativity and the dreariness of a long season. You rise above it, and you're a veteran. People are looking up to you. You've got to come and perform and be a consummate pro.
And the excitement and energy of young players certainly helps with that, too. 4-0 Mets as we go to the 6th in Philadelphia. Mets box score brought to you by Fidelis Care. Big night for Wilmer Flores, 3-run homer and a double. Big night for Neil Walker, a single and a home run. Flores gets his third turn at bat as we start the 6th inning. Mark Leiter Jr. starts his 5th inning of long relief. Vince Velasquez left after the 1st inning with numbness in the middle finger on his pitching hand, and Leiter's been in ever since. He's given up just 1 run, a home run to Walker in the 3rd. He's behind on Flores 2-0 with Reyes on deck, and Wilmer cracks that into left for a base hit, his 3rd base hit of the night. Home run, double, single for Flores. You thinking what I'm thinking? How hard it would be for Wilmer to hit a triple
in this ballpark?
Exactly. You know what it would have to do? It would have to be a ball hit to left center that hits that angled fence and then bounces away from everybody.
Like to the right of that State Farm sign out there, next to the 409.
Exactly.
The deepest part of the park.
Good angle and a good bounce.
Right there. Get that angle and have the center fielder misplay it. Misplay the carom. Let's pull for Wilmer. We can do that.
He does have 1 triple this year.
I forgot. 2 in his career. Where'd he get it? Do you remember? Don't worry about it. Don't rack your brain over it.
I don't remember, but I'm sure we can look it up. Reyes pulled a double down the right field line in the 1st and struck out in the 3rd. 1 for 2 on the night. Mark Leiter making his 19th major league appearance. This year his 1st year in the big leagues, 26 years old. His dad, Mark Sr., pitched for 8 different major league teams, starting with the Yankees and finishing with the Brewers, with a lot of stops in between.
I vaguely remember Mark Leiter Sr. Most of his career was in the American League. What was the National League team he played for, Garrett?
Giants, Brewers, there's some others in there.
Milwaukee, when I was in the league, was in the American League.
Yeah, but when he was there, I think they were in the National
Oh,
League.
okay, then I was
the end of his career.
I was toast then.
You probably would have seen him with the Giants.
I saw him with the Giants.
Tomorrow, get an inside look at the Jets and Giants as they get ready for their preseason openers on Daily News Live, presented by Citi, tomorrow at 5, only on SNY. Nothing like preseason football, Keith.
Really?
It's nothing like it. Reyes goes down on the splitter, and that is strikeout number 6 for Leiter. Let's check in with the studio. Taylor Rooks as a game break brought to you by your Tri-Honda dealers. Thanks, Taylor. Stanton hit that off Tanner Roark. Now Travis d'Arnaud is lined out to left and grounded to second, 0 for 2. You also could have faced Mark Leiter Sr. as an Expo.
That's where I remember him.
Or as a Philly.
Yes, I remember him in our division.
Ever faced Al?
At spring training, I hit into a double play. He's the first one to tell me every time he sees me. I remember he threw hard. I didn't know who we were playing in Dunedin, which were Toronto. Right. Spring trained, bad ballpark, and He started the game, and I was the third hitter in the lineup, and I had no idea what he had. He threw hard. Big Al threw hard.
He always threw that hard cutter against righties. How did he work lefties?
He still liked his cutter against lefties. I just had one at bat off him. I hit into double play, and that was it. So I have, very little experience against Big Al. All I remember is that he threw hard and he beat me with the fastball.
Hitters were very uncomfortable facing Al, especially the righties with that.
Oh, well, anybody that can crowd you.
Yeah. I mean, there were so few lefties then, when you think about it, who threw inside like that.
Guidry, he was gone.
I mean, most of the lefties in the National League when Al was with the Mets threw more like Lavin. They worked away, and only occasionally came inside.
Well, Al was a power pitcher. He's been a gutty pitcher, too. He was very animated on the mound, a great competitor.
Yes, he was.
He pitched that great game, I tell you that, in Cincinnati. I'll never forget that. I sat on my couch and watched that one from the first inning to the ninth.
Leiter strikes out d'Arnaud. That's 7 strikeouts in relief for Leiter. We mentioned he had 9 in relief his last time out in Colorado.
Amazing what a splitter will do, and there's the grip. It's not as wide. Your fingers aren't as widespread as in a forkball, which really this is a look at that thing, the bottom drop out. Yes, sir, I know that pitch well.
Suter-esque. Rosario takes a hack. Ahmed lined one right back to Leiter. He was the first man to face him in the second. Then he was hit on the hand by a pitch in the fourth. He was examined but stayed in the game. Tried to steal second, was thrown out. Flores at first with 2 out. And a looper into center field, but Herrera comes on to get it. And that retires the side. 5 good innings in relief for Mark Leiter, but DeGrom has been better. 4-0 New York going to the bottom of the 6th. Begins at 6 o'clock, presented by New York 8-1-1 Mets-Phillies right here on SNY. Seth Lugo gets the start tomorrow night. Hoping to be as good as Jacob DeGrom has been tonight. Jake has been on top of his game. 5 scoreless innings, just 2 hits, no walks, 8 strikeouts. Cameron Rupp leading off in the home 6th. Yoon-Soo Kim has come out on deck to pinch hit for the Phillies. throws the fastball by Rupp, 0-2. Rupp took a call, third strike his first time up. So it looks like Mark Leiter's done after 5 very good innings in long relief. Threw just 64 pitches, gave up 1 run. Jason Terrian is up in the bullpen for the Phillies. Will be our first look at him. Montreal native. There are the city probables. Lugo against Nick Pivetta, who pitched a great game against the Mets last time they faced the Phils. Steven Matz against the red-hot Aaron Nola Saturday night, and then Chris Flexen coming off his first big league win against Zach Eflin on Sunday. And Rupp takes a slider off the plate. One-two from DeGrom, and a slow ground ball. Reyes has time to wait on it against Rupp and throws him out easily, 1 away. Let's look at tonight's Verizon trivia question. Who holds the major league record for the most career walk-off home runs?
I would have no idea.
Boy,
That's a toughie.
that's a good one. But Jason Giambi had a whole bunch of them in his career, didn't he?
Walk-offs.
Andre Ethiers had tons of them, but but who has the all-time record? I mean, they didn't even call them walk-off home runs until Eckersley came along. He's the guy who coined the phrase.
They were game-ending home runs, weren't they?
Sure, but it was Eckersley who called them walk-offs because as the pitcher, when they hit the home run, what can you do except just walk off? Hyun-Soo Kim came over from the Orioles in the trade that sent Jeremy Hellickson to Baltimore. He's had 16 at-bats since joining the Phillies. Kim was playing quite a bit with the Orioles. 29-year-old who made his big league debut with Baltimore last year. Hit .302 last season for Baltimore. .02 from DeGrom, and he struck him out. Got him with a 98-mile-an-hour fastball. Not the first time we've seen a 98 from DeGrom tonight. He's got 9 strikeouts.
Well, another double-digit night, it looks like, for DeGrom. Another dominating performance against the Phillies.
Trying to go 6-0 lifetime against Philadelphia. Struck out 12 the last time he faced them in 7 innings in late June. Now he starts his 3rd time through the batting order. Cesar Hernandez, who took a call 3rd strike in the 1st, then had a chopper, and DeGrom made a nice defensive play to go back and get it and throw him out. And he picks off the inside corner, 0-1.
That's the pine tar in that helmet there. That was one thing on my tenure with the Mets, and the clubhouse man Charlie Samuels, that one of his sticklers was clean helmets. He would never allow that. After every game, every hat was cleaned. And what gets the pine tar off, and I told you, it gets it off your hands, gets it off your bat, gets it off the helmet, is rubbing alcohol.
But there
Takes it right off.
Some guys who like to have that accumulation of pine tar, they take it as a
to me,
battle scar.
Well, know what the battle scar for me was? My bat. The more pine tar that bat got, that was a war club. It had lasted a long time.
That's really where the pine tar belongs.
Many hits.
I mean, it really doesn't do the helmet any good. You're not trying to grip your helmet. 2-2 to Hernandez. And it's flared toward 3rd, and Walker picks it off. Side retired. 6 scoreless innings for Jacob DeGrom. He's been in firm command with 9 strikeouts. He's got a 4-0 lead after 6. Pitch cast, and Mark Leiter just left the game.
5 innings of 1 run. That's pretty good right there, don't you think? Look at that breaking ball on the corner. Another corner. Other side of the plate. Look at that little paint your wagon. Oh, he's Rembrandting here. Jeez.
Let's keep it out of the middle of the canvas.
Got to get him back in the Renaissance era.
4th big league appearance for rookie right-hander Jason Terrien. Jacob DeGrom, first man to face him. And Terrien starts him off with a fastball outside. Terrien, 24 years old, native of Montreal, was drafted originally by the Mets out of high school, but didn't sign. And then the Phillies took him in the 17th round in 2011. And he gets a strike to DeGrom, who has struck out in each of his first 2 at bats.
Well, when you that pitch cast back there, 5 innings of relief by Leiter, 7 strikeouts. There's a reason for that, and that pretty much.
DeGrom smokes one to right, but right at Williams for the first out.
Gave you a visual there. There's a reason why he struck out 7. He was painting your wagon, as we would say.
So think about Mark Leiter's last 2 relief outings. The previous one, he struck out 9 over 4 2/3 in Colorado. This one, he struck out 7 in 5 innings. So that's 16 strikeouts in 9 2/3 innings his last 2 times out, which is impressive not only because of the strikeouts, but also because you just don't see that kind of long relief anymore. You don't see guys going.
Maybe we're getting back to it. You know, it all started with Tony La Russa and Bobby Cox. Tony La Russa, of course, was with Oakland, and Bobby Cox with Atlanta, where you'd have the extra pitchers and they'd all go 1 inning. And they got away from long relief.
You know who had a 4-inning relief outing 2 or 3 days ago for the Twins? It was Dylan G.
Really?
Had his first big league save.
Well, there you go. Your long relief guys were always your 6th starter, and he was always a swing man. It was called a swing man. And even the day of the doubleheader, he would be the 2nd game of the doubleheader, but he would be your long relief guy.
Granderson's 0 for 3 tonight, lined out to right his last time up, and takes that pitch high. Curtis back in the leadoff spot tonight, with Michael Conforto being installed as the cleanup hitter. Tomorrow, Dom Smith will join the lineup. We'll see where Terry decides to park him. One thing's for sure, the Mets' defense at first base will be better with Smith here, just as their defense has improved with Rosario at short.
No question.
And Dom's having a nice year in Vegas. You always have to take those Vegas numbers with a grain of salt because it's a great hitters park, great hitters league. Nonetheless, looks like he's ready.
330 is 330. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. He impressed me in spring.
Granderson lays off the slider, and it's 3-2.
And the vote of approval, the praise coming from Neil Walker, who's in the on-deck circle. When he was on rehab, he said that Dominic is a hitter, and I'll take Neil Walker's word for it.
Right. He was very impressed with what he saw. And getting back to defense for a moment, put Smith at first. Reyes has been playing 2nd. Rosario at short, and what we've seen so far from Walker at 3rd.
That's a nice infield.
It's a lot better than it's been.
Well, the ground balls that get through, I think are going to have a little more difficult time.
9th pitch of the at bat, and Granderson rolls one to the vacated side of the infield, and he's got a base hit. So Granderson hitting them where they ain't, in the words of Wee Willie Keeler. And the Mets have a 1-out base runner. Let's check in with Taylor Rooks in the studio for another game break brought to you by the New York State Department of Health. Thanks, Taylor. By the way, the Cardinals all of a sudden have caught fire. They've taken the first 3 of that series from the Royals. They've won 5 in a row. And you look up today, and the Cardinals are a game and a half out of first place. I mean, they looked buried when we saw them a month ago, and they have fought their way right back into it. Virtual tie with Milwaukee for second place in that Central Division. Walker having his best night since coming off the DL. Hit his first home run since June in the third inning. Followed that with a hard single to center in the fifth. So he's 2 for 3. And that's a base hit into right center field. His third hit of the night. Granderson will go first to third, and Walker will hold at first. So a home run and 2 singles for Walker. He was 4 for 34 off the disabled list. He's 3 for 4 tonight.
Sinker ball pitcher. Got it over the middle. Curtis always hustling. Never hesitated that line drive. He knew it was over the head of the second baseman. See a lot of base runners that freeze at first. Beautiful swing right there from Mr. Walker.
So now runners at the corners with 1 out for Cespedes, who's 1 for 3 tonight. Doubled down the right field line and scored in the first. And gets jammed and fouls it back. Jason Terrian, just his 4th big league appearance.
Oh.
That forces Cespedes to vacate.
He didn't get on top of that slider.
Gets that one in for a strike. Phillies bullpen has gone through a lot of stages this year. Remember, they had John Mark Gomez closing when the year began. That didn't go very well, and they've finally settled on Hector Neris, who's been their best reliever the last 2 years, and he's done a nice job for them. And Terrian strikes out Cespedes for the second out. So he had problems with that one slider, but he used the next 2 to good effect.
And Cespedes again chasing that bad breaking ball. He's having issues. He's on top of the plate. There should be no reason why he can't cover that outside corner, but he's having difficulty with that outside pitch.
Here's Conforto. His first game this year in the cleanup spot. He's gone 0 for 2 in a walk. That's here with first and third and 2 out. Last time up, he rolled one into the shift, and Galvis threw him out. Granderson at third, Walker at first. The shortstop hole open.
Boy, oh boy. How are you going to turn 2? Oh, it's 2 outs. Excuse me. Sorry.
Do you get extra credit if you get 4 outs?
Well, I was just going. I was looking at him and going, "Why is he playing way out there in right field? It's no chance to get a double play." But there's 2 outs, of course. I fell asleep.
That's drilled down the left field line, slicing toward the corner. It's out of here. A foul pole 3-run homer from Michael Conforto, his 24th of the year. The Mets' 3rd home run of the night, and it's 7-0 New York. He is a line-to-line home run hitter.
Well, I love to see this. Sinker ball pitcher. Go right with it. There's not a ball. This ballpark can't hold him. Right off the pole.
He hit the 3.
Well, welcome to the 4-hole, Mr. Conforto. May you flourish.
24 home runs, 61 runs batted in. And now Flores, who needs a triple for the cycle, instead rolls one out to Galvis, who throws him out to retire the side. But Michael Conforto puts the hammer down, goes the other way off the foul pole. 7th inning stretch, 7-0 New York. Home runs ever. Jim Thome.
Ooh,
That's a lot.
and how far does that go back? The entire.
Oh, yeah, even before they started calling them walk-off home runs. Well, Thome hit over 600.
Oh, I know. Yeah, it's true. You're right. Forgot about
He
that.
had plenty of chances.
You don't even hear about him. You know
No,
that?
I know.
Isn't that something?
Very, very underrated. Very, he's such a mild-mannered guy. Galvis hits a 2-hopper to Reyes, and that's how the bottom of the 7th begins. Galvis now 0 for 3, and Jacob DeGrom just keeps on cooking. 1 out and nobody on. Odubel Herrera coming up. Well, Jake's about to throw his 90th pitch, so might be a night when he can get through 8. 9 might be problematic.
Get his double-digit strikeouts. That's would be nice. 1 more is needed.
See those incredible numbers against the Phillies, trying to add to that. Herrera has grounded out and popped up tonight. And he flies this one down the left field side and foul. Herrera started the night with a 12-game hitting streak. He's gone hitless. Cesar Hernandez started the night with a 13-game hitting streak. He's gone hitless. That's what happens when you run into DeGrom. It was Ricardo Pinto up in the bullpen for the Phillies. Sails high, a ball and a strike. Jake struck out the first 2 batters of the night on call 3rd strikes, and he's been rolling ever since. That's got him a lead before he ever took the mound on a Wilmer Flores 3-run homer in the 1st. That's a tendency to hit home runs in this park, don't they?
They sure do.
It's 50 in the last 23 games they've played here. Little looper down the left field line, and that's going to fall for a base hit. Herrera will continue on as Cespedes misplays it. And he winds up at second base. It'll be a base hit and then an error on Cespedes, allowing Herrera to advance.
Just took his eye off the ball too quick. A little loose.
That is the 5th error for Cespedes this year. That's a lot for a left fielder. Here's Franco, who has one of the 3 Philadelphia hits, double to right center in the 2nd. This is only the 2nd time tonight DeGrom's had a runner in scoring position against him, and he starts Franco off with a good slider, 0-1. Mets love coming here, at least since the Phillies stopped winning the division title every year. Mets success here has coincided with the Phillies falling from the top of the division. He had an incredible 5-year run here, including a World Series championship. So Herrera picks up the hit to extend his hitting streak on that bloop single. Now he's hit in 13 straight games. Matches his career best. DeGrom didn't get that call. 2-1. There's been a couple of pitches on that side of the plate that Jeff Nelson is not giving.
I thought that one missed, but it was just a good pitch. It just was a little outside. Good change.
That one caught the corner.
Well, he's just such a good pitcher. I really enjoy watching him work. And, you know, I don't wish this upon Jacob, but I love to watch him work when he really doesn't have great stuff and he battles through it. And we've seen that more than a few times.
Well, epitomized by his Game 5 performance against the Dodgers in 2015. Little flare in foul territory, easy for Wilmer, and that's the second out. Well, Jacob DeGrom, 42 and 27 in his career, and is in that elite company as far as winning percentage in Mets history.
Look at Rick Reed, number 2 on that list, huh?
He was a guy who didn't have overwhelming stuff, but was such a craftsman.
He was a craftsman and he had guts. He was a battler, much like DeGrom. I enjoyed watching him pitch.
And much like DeGrom, very unassuming, you know?
Yes.
Rick Reed never put himself or sought out the spotlight, but he went out there and gave you solid 7-8 innings every time.
He was a blue-collar worker. And there's a guy that got his break and probably wouldn't have had a break if it wasn't for the strike.
Well, he crossed the picket line,
yes, he
which
did.
earned him a lot of scorn.
Yes, it did.
He was one of the few former major leaguers who crossed the picket line in '95. Nothing to Nick Williams, who struck out twice tonight.
What year was that, Gary? That strike and when the
94 they canceled the World
That's
Series.
right.
Then they had the replacement spring training in '95.
That's right. Remember, that was my hiatus. I went away and didn't watch baseball for around 6 years.
Well, you were very fortunate to miss replacement spring training. You had truck drivers and cattle ranchers playing Major League Baseball in Florida. It was weird. Line off DeGrom, and it'll go for an infield hit. And now the question is, how is Jake?
That hit him pretty good. They get him in the back.
Shoulder back somewhere in there.
That got him good. That was ripped.
Well, he's up and walking around, and he's going to have a serious bruise. Let's see exactly where it got him.
Change up. Oh, a little backdoor break. Got him off the side, huh?
Did he get glove on it?
No, and it actually, his back was bent, so it kind of ricocheted off. It wasn't a solid hit. It hit him hard enough. Oh, arm.
Off the triceps, it looked like, somewhere in there.
It got him good. Thud.
Yeah, you could hear that snap when it hit him. I mean, he didn't flinch.
He's tough.
He is certainly that. There's another angle.
Gosh, if it got him on the back, everything would be fine. But the back of the tricep, Yeah, he's going to
take him out.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's going to stiffen up on him, and because it's his pitching arm, he just can't take a chance.
Get some ice on it immediately.
So DeGrom is out after taking the shot from Nick Williams off his pitching arm. And he will leave after 6 2/3 and 100 pitches. Another dominating effort for Jake. And unfortunately comes to a slightly premature end, and hopefully nothing seriously wrong. .99-mile-an-hour exit velocity into his pitching arm.
That's okay to do that.
Terry Collins to worry about.
That's okay to mention the exit velocity on a ball that goes back to the pitcher like that.
That's what I did.
You have my approval.
Thank you. Call to the bullpen brought to you by Verizon. What more can happen? By Delta. Mets fans win amazing prizes from Delta Airlines. Visit SNY.TV/Delta Dugout for details. Well, Jacob DeGrom, before being struck on the arm by a line drive, has having himself quite a night.
Well, from the get-go, he had 6 strikeouts, 2 in each of the first 3 frames of this ball game. Had ended the night with 9 strikeouts, and you can see the paint down in the strike zone on the corners. Having his way with the Phillies as usual, Garrett.
9 strikeouts over 6 2/3. He gave up 4 hits, 2 of them in this inning, including the one that knocked him out of the game. And DeGrom without a run against his ledger, although responsible for the 2 on base. Vince Velasquez left because of numbness in the middle finger of his pitching hand after one laborious inning. People's United Bank bringing you tonight's starters.
There you go.
Met fans have made their way down to Philly, watching intently, eating some ice cream out of a helmet. What could be better? Eric Adell, who has been very heavily worked lately, will get as long as he needs to warm up.
Well, looking to preserve, well, it won't be a shutout for DeGrom. Obviously, he left the game, but you want to make sure you get his ERA down as much as you can. Help him out here.
Stuck on the train, don't miss the game. Watch every SNY Mets game wherever you are on any device all season long with live streaming presented by Verizon. Just download the NBC Sports app or visit SNY.TV. Your home for live streaming coverage of every SNY Mets game. This game has gone like so many recently for the Mets here in Philadelphia. 3 home runs, great pitching by DeGrom. The only
problem is that DeGrom is now out of the game after taking a line drive that appeared to hit him in the triceps on his pitching arm.
Yep, 99 miles per hour off that bat.
Meanwhile, in St. Petersburg, Jay Bruce just made his Indians debut as a pinch hitter and popped up in a 1-1 game. The Indians start the night with a 4-game lead in the American League Central, partially because the Royals, who were on a hot streak and got right to the brink there in the AL Central, all of a sudden have gone cold. I mentioned they've lost the first 3 of their series to the Cardinals. The Royals have lost 8 of their last 10. Meanwhile, the American League wild card is just such a jumble. Seattle has taken over that second spot behind the Yankees.
Seattle got hot up there when the Mets went there. Took 2 out of 3 from the Mets the last road trip. And that is anybody's got a shot in there.
So Goodell is ready to go. He'll face Tommy Joseph with 1st and 3rd and 2 out. Last time Goodell pitched, it was against Texas Tuesday night. He gave up a double to the first man he faced, Joey Gallo, that drove in a run. Joseph tonight is 1 for 2, singled to center his last time, and goes after that first pitch splitter. 0-1. You were talking earlier about the splitter and how it's starting to reemerge in the game. It's really the key to Eric Goodell's success.
Well, you see the bottom drop out, and you cannot read the pitch. That's the effectiveness of the pitch. This deception.
Knocked down nicely by d'Arnaud to keep the runner at 3rd.
Of course, Bruce Sutter, my former comrade in arms in St. Louis, was the man that came in and brought it to the forefront with the Cubs.
Cubs, Cardinals. He ended up in Atlanta, didn't he? Sutter?
Ended up in Atlanta, yes.
And then in Cooperstown.
Yes, he did, and deservedly so.
There's the good one from Goodell to get ahead on Joseph, 1 and 2. Goodell has always thrown that splitter since he's been in the big leagues, but he seems to be throwing it more and more now.
And he has his grip right there already in the splitter, so it's easier to shift to a fastball.
1-2 coming. And the fastball flied foul down the right side. Tommy Joseph with a base hit his last time up, snapped an 0 for 20 stretch. Herrera at 3rd, Williams at 1st with 2 down. And Joseph chases the splitter for strike 3. So Goodell gets his man and strands DeGrom's base runners. After 7, 7-0 New York. And rookie right-hander Ricardo Pinto comes on to pitch.
Well, you can see they've got a lot of newcomers here. Only 12th game. ERA not too hot. Oh, look at the walks and the hits. A lot of base runners.
23-year-old from Venezuela will face Jose Reyes to lead off in the 8th inning, and Reyes fouls back a 97-mile-an-hour fastball. Jose is 1 for 3 tonight, doubled, struck out twice. Reyes, then d'Arnaud and Rosario for the Mets in the 8th. Mets have gotten all 7 runs on 3 home runs tonight. A 3-run shot by Flores in the 1st, a solo home run from Neil Walker in the 3rd, and then Michael Conforto, a 3-run homer in the 7th. And Reyes takes a cut of a changeup, and it's 1-2.
Everybody's got a changeup in today's game.
There's d'Arnaud on deck. Phillies got 5 very good innings of long relief tonight from Mark Leiter. He allowed just 1 run and struck out 7 in 5 innings. Then 1 not so good inning from Jason Terry, and he gave up the 3-run homer to Conforto in the 7th. And now Pinto working the 8th. And he strikes out Reyes with the changeup for the first out. That's 10 strikeouts for Phillies pitchers tonight. You can win a chance to take the mound at Citi Field and throw out the first pitch in the Mets' first pitch sweepstakes. Presented by SNY at Papa John's. Go to SNY.TV/Papa John's and enter today. Now d'Arnaud, who's gone 0 for 3, lined out to left, grounded out and struck out. That's 7 runs and 10 hits. The Phillies no runs and 4 hits. Jacob DeGrom 6 2/3, 9 strikeouts, no walks. Lowered his ERA tonight to 3.21, and we'll wait for word on his arm. Fly ball out to right center, and Nick Williams comes over to call. 2 out. I would imagine he'll have imprints of stitches on his upper arm.
Well, maybe not, but I've had, if it hits you just right, folks, it is amazing. It's like you're actually got stitches on your skin.
It's like you're branded.
It's unbelievable. I've had it happen more than a few times in over my minor league and major league career.
Rosario 0 for 2 tonight. Lined out to the pitcher, been hit by a pitch and flied out. You remember Wally Whitehurst, right?
Of course I do. Yes.
He was like a pincushion.
Yes, he was.
He got hit by so many comebackers. He would have bruises all over his legs with stitching outlined in many spots. That's hit in the air to deep left field, but overcomes Hoskins to get it, and that retires the side. Rosario flies out. Mets are out 1-2-3 to the bottom of the 8th, 7-0 New York. The major league debut of Rhys Hoskins, and that's his family, his dad, his sister, and his girlfriend. His mom passed away when he was just a teenager, so his family very invested in Rhys and his debut, and the emotions have waxed and waned.
Well, they're into it.
That seems pretty chill. He's wearing a good number, Keith.
Yes, he is. I noticed that. I just didn't want to say anything.
Yeah, it's Scott Rowland's old number. He was number 17 with the Phillies.
Excuse me.
He was a big star here in Philadelphia.
It's my old number. And Dizzy Dean.
And Dae-Sung Koo. And Jose Lima.
Oh,
and Luis Lopez.
don't go there.
Cameron Rupp on deck. And then Andres Blanco hitting the 9th spot. Eric Adell came in to get 1 out in the 7th after DeGrom left. After getting hit on the pitching arm by a line drive off the bat of Nick Williams. Looked like he got him right on the triceps. Phillies are hoping that Rhys Hoskins wears number 17 for a long time. And Goodell fools him with the splitter, and it's 2-2.
Welcome to the split finger world.
Jerry Blevins up in the Mets bullpen. I would think you'd just have to keep throwing him splitters, wouldn't you? Luis Garcia throwing in the Philly pen.
If the hitters keep swinging at it in the dirt, out of the strike zone, yes.
Buries that one, 3-2.
So as a hitter, Gary, when you are up against a split finger, you have to find out how high it starts out of the hand when it's a strike, and anything lower, it's usually around the upper mid-thigh. Anything below that, it starts out lower than that, it's going to be a ball. And I used to always think in terms of a right-hand sinker ball pitcher. That I wouldn't, if you're saying it's a split finger, it could psych you out. It's a new pitch. So I'd say, okay, when Suter threw his split finger, he'd always throw it away, and the action was of a hard sinker. So I told myself, it's just a hard sinker. Approach it that way, hit it that way.
So let me ask you this. If it's a hard pitch to identify because the spin resembles a fastball, and you've got to judge the height of it based on where it's going to break out of the zone. So if a pitcher then throws a knee-high fastball, you're toast.
Well, remember, Bruce, that's all he threw.
Right.
So that was our baptism with the split finger. It wasn't until, we've mentioned this many times, until Roger Craig took over the Giants that everybody incorporated the split finger with their repertoire, and that made it very difficult here.
And there's ball 4. A curveball from Goodell. And he walks Hoskins, who's on base for the first time.
And that's something right there that I disagree so strongly with. That selection of pitch. You got a 7-0 ball game in the bottom of the 8th inning, and you throw a 3-2 curveball and walk a batter.
But plus, that is his 13th pitch. It's the first curveball he's thrown, and he throws it on 3-2, leading off an inning.
I don't care if you throw it 5 times. You got an 7-0 lead in the bottom of the 8th. You got, how many times have I got to say? Sorry, folks. Bear with me. 8 gloves are out there. That ball might find one of the 8.
Here's Cameron Rupp, who struck out and grounded out 0 for 2. And Goodell throws the fastball by him, 0-1. Your Spectrum high-speed pitch. Well, Mr. Pinto, Ricardo, 98. Of course, Jacob DeGrom threw 98 tonight, but he's not currently in the game, so not pictured.
Good eye right there. Laid off that splitter.
Rupp's been getting the bulk of the playing time since Andrew Knapp went down with a broken hand. Rupp, who was the primary catcher last year, had been in a secondary role, but now thrust back in as a starter. 1-2.
Threw a fastball right by him, inside, upstairs. Stay in there.
Andres Blanco, switch hitter, waiting on deck. Just came out in the double switch. One-two coming to Rupp, and he fouled it back. So DeGrom, with his 6 2/3 scoreless innings tonight, lowered his ERA from 3.36 to 3.21. Came into the night 10th in the National League in ERA. And if all stays the same, he'll move up 2 notches. Good job by Rupp laying off the splitter, and it's 2-2. And Rupp, it's a double play ball right at Reyes, at Rosario. Reyes with the turn. 2 out and nobody on. 6-4-3, as easy as they come.
On a fastball, Gare. Automatic.
2 hopper, easy hop, 2 slow runners. Can't ask for anything more.
I didn't hear you, believe it or not, with all this noise in the stadium. You were speak a little louder.
I said 2 hopper, easy hop, 2 slow runners. You couldn't ask for anything more.
Excellent analysis.
Thank you very much. Now Andres Blanco will bat for the first time. The veteran utility man takes a curveball for a strike from Goodell. Blanco having a rough year. He's hitting just 168. He's been a useful player for the last few years, but hasn't hit a lick this year. And he takes another curveball for a strike, and Goodell ahead 0-2. Cardinals tied up that game with the Royals. St. Louis starting to get hot too. Happened last night with the rally cat.
Yes, I did.
Cat runs on the field. Stadium worker tries to pick it up. Gets scratched and bitten by the cat as he carries it off. Next pitch, Molina hits a grand slam.
When won the game. They were behind.
Last year they had the rally squirrel. This year it's the rally cat. Blanco fouls off the splitter. I mean, a few years ago we had the rally parakeet.
Canary.
Well, it's a matter of opinion.
Canary.
What's a couple of bird species between friends?
That's right.
Goodell ahead on Blanco 1-2. And he just missed. Most of the Met infielders were moving toward the dugout, but Goodell didn't get the call from Jeff Nelson, and it's 2-2.
Just missed.
And Blanco just wastes away that curveball. Brian Goodwin just homered for the Nationals in the bottom of the 8th. They've gone in front of the Marlins 3-2. See that Ryan Zimmerman became the Expos Nationals all-time RBI leader last night. There you go, strikeout. Goodell gets Blanco with a splitter. Inning over. Well, nothing like a 6-4-3 double play to make the guys smile. We're going to the ninth inning here. The Mets with a 7-0 lead. Luis Garcia will be the 5th Philadelphia pitcher of the night.
Well, he's making his 17th career appearance against the Mets. He just recently had a 21 2/3 scoreless inning streak broken and only given up 2 home runs on the year.
Brandon Nimmo will pinch hit. Nimmo's 3 for 11 as a pinch hitter. Continues to produce quality at bats off the bench. And he'll start the ninth inning batting for Goodell and takes up and away for ball 1. Nimmo has been seeing an enormous number of pitches, particularly as a pinch hitter. 5.2 pitches per plate appearance, which is just extraordinary.
He battles and he has a good eye at the plate. That's another big reason. That's the primary reason.
Mets one time had a frequent pinch hitter named Matt Franco.
Yes.
And Matt broke an obscure major league record for walks as a pinch hitter in a season. Normally with pinch hitters, they tell you to be very aggressive.
Correct.
But Franco was not. He was very patient, and Nimmo is the same way. But he's such a young player, and he's been able to come off the bench and have these very patient at bats.
I'd like to see him. I don't think it's going to happen. Get a little more playing time.
I would think it's very possible that tomorrow he could be back in the minor leagues with Dom Smith coming up and Juan Lagares having been activated today.
Well, it's not the end of the world. He'll be back up on September 1st, more than likely.
He needs to go play.
Yes.
I mean, he's been sitting on the bench for a month.
Yes.
He was out for a while with that partially collapsed lung. But he's gotten very little playing time. And again, he's run a full count as a pinch hitter. It'll be interesting to see how they use Lagares over the next coming weeks. Of course, Juan was out with a fractured thumb. He's been out for almost 2 months. But he is such a force defensively and had started to produce offensively before he got hurt. And Nimmo's on with a walk. So another productive pinch hit plate appearance for Brandon Nimmo. Curtis Granderson, who singled to left field and scored a run in the 7th, 1 for 4 on the night. Luis Garcia, now 30 years old, the 3rd Luis Garcia to play in the major leagues, but by far the most accomplished of the 3. Took him a while to get to the big leagues. Went through the Dodgers organization, the Nationals organization, before landing with the Phillies, and he's been a pretty good reliever now for parts of 5 seasons with the Phillies.
Big guy, just a hard sinker, slider.
And he's developed a splitter this year. Talking about the proliferation of the split. Granderson gets a hold of one, deep right center. Back in the gap, Williams looking up. It's out of here. Curtis Granderson adds a 2-run homer, his 16th of the year. The Mets have hit 4 home runs tonight, and they now have a 9-0 lead. '51 home runs in their last 23 games at Citizens Bank Park.
Hanging slider. Oh boy, that did nothing. Curtis' eyes must have lit up, and he torched it.
Nice grab, by the way.
That's why you bring a glove. You never know. Good catch, slugger.
Right in the pocket. Now Walker, who has 3 hits tonight, including a home run.
So didn't I say this guy only gave up 2 home runs on the year?
I believe you said that.
Make it 3.
Well, word on Jacob DeGrom, X-rays negative, contusion of the right triceps. So he's got a bruise.
Ice.
Status for his next start at this moment unknown. He would be scheduled to start Tuesday at Yankee Stadium. Walker takes one the other way, and he's got a 4-hit night. So Neal busting out. First 11 games off the disabled list, 4 for 34 tonight, 4 for 5.
Sinker ball pitcher, what do? Just sit on it and drive it the other way. Sweet.
So a much needed night for Walker. That's out their 12th hit of the game. Still nobody out in the inning, and now Cespedes, who had a double back in the first, he's gone 1 for 4. Takes a slider for a strike.
Interesting how Garcia, when he comes to the belt, he's got his glove wide open and facing the ground, like it's hovering over the baseball, like the mothercraft. Look at that.
Cespedes drives one the other way for a base hit. So a single and 3 straight hits for the Mets. Walk and 3 straight hits for the Mets here in the 9th. And Garcia still hasn't gotten anybody out.
He's getting hit pretty hard here. There hasn't been a soft one yet. He's been getting ripped. Good hitting by Cespedes. Everybody seems to want to take him the other way, Mr. Garcia.
So now Conforto went the other way his last time up and clanked one off the left field foul pole for a 3-run homer. Again, will bat with 2 men on. Conforto went deep against Jason Terrien in the 7th.
Took that sinker outside corner right down the foul pole. Off the foul pole, excuse me.
24th of the year for Conforto, now has 61 driven in. And Garcia falls behind him 2-0. Morgan, the left-hander, up in the Philly pen. And Garcia really struggling.
Well, he's had his world shattered here with some 3 straight rocket launchers.
We'll begin with Nimmo drawing a walk to start the inning. Granderson a 2-run homer. Walker and Cespedes each with opposite field hits. Now 3-0 to Conforto. And Michael takes ball 4, and that loads him up. Second time that Conforto's walked tonight. Second walk of the inning for Garcia.
Are you going to leave him out there? No, he's not. I agree. Adios.
Well, you got the lefty warming up in the bullpen. You got Wilmer Flores coming up with the bases loaded.
That's Bob McClure, my old homie. Big Bubby. I guess they're going to leave him in here.
Yeah, you can't bring in a lefty to face Wilmer with the bases loaded. So he'll get one more batter here.
I mean, what do you tell this guy? Throw your sinker. Hopefully you get a ground ball. Get a double play.
Well, Flores already has a 3-run homer tonight. He also has a double and a single. It's been a good night for Wilmer, who homered yesterday and again tonight.
Well, that was a 3-run shot in the first. Got the Mets on the board quick. This was a rip down the left field line. This was a rip over the shortstop's head. Nice.
So give me an assessment as a hitter. What you would dream of in this spot if you're Wilmer Flores?
Well,
would you rather hit a grand slam, which after all is a grand slam, or would you rather hit a triple for the cycle?
Triple. Triple, absolutely.
Okay.
But it's a tough one for Wilmy.
Well, you know you can create a triple from a grand slam if you never touch home plate.
Oh, Gary.
Right?
You wouldn't want to do that.
I know it's something that's not done, but you could do it. You could hit a grand slam, touch first, second, and third, and never touch home plate and run in the dugout.
Oh.
And it would be a triple.
That's put an asterisk by your cycle.
Making a travesty of the game. That's in the rules, you know. You're not allowed to make a travesty of the game.
It is in the rule book?
It is. I wondered why that wasn't invoked when Jimmy Pearsall ran backwards around the bases for his 100th home run against Dallas Green. That would have been.
Well, he was released shortly after,
Yes,
was he not?
Was.
Was that his last stint?
Not sure. Might have been. 2-2 to Flores. Of course, it launched him into his broadcasting career.
Oh, I remember him and Harry Carey with the White Sox. We'd play those day games, and I would come home after the day game at Wrigley, and I'd have to watch the first 2 innings of the White Sox game before I went out to dinner, because you never knew it was going to come out of both their mouths. It was the most extraordinary broadcast.
Oh, yeah. It was
rough and tumble.
It was freewheeling.
Oh, my.
2-2 to Wilmer. And he fouls that one off Rupp, who took the brunt.
I remember he called someone hit a home run for the opposing team, and Pearsall called him a hot dog and other words, and I was going, you're a guy who ran around the base backwards. You've got a lot of nerve.
Well, you know the classic conversation between Pearsall and Carey.
Several.
Pearsall would say, Harry, you're crazy. And Harry would say, well, Jimmy, you got the papers to prove it. 2-2 to Flores with Reyes on deck. Bases loaded, nobody out. And that's in the dirt. Rupp with a nice block. That was not easy. 3-2.
There we go. 3-2, 9-0. What are you going to do?
Just got his side of his chest protector on that. Otherwise, that's a run. Right after he took one off the mask. Walker at third, Cespedes at second, Conforto at first with nobody out. And Wilmer hits a rocket down the line foul. little quick on that fastball. What a rough inning for Garcia. He's faced 5 batters, retired none of them. And now 3-2 on Flores. Wilmer fouls that one away. It was the
splitter. 9-0, 3-2.
Nothing else is working. Paul Sewald getting ready to pitch the last of the ninth.
What is that on his hat? He wrote. Oh, okay. All right. Yep.
Wilmer gets tied up. He went around, strike 3. Rather emphatic call by the first base umpire Roberto Ortiz.
Roberto Ortiz has made some emphatic calls during the game on line drives that are down the chalk. Almost.
I think this is the first time we've seen Ricardo, so he's a relatively inexperienced umpire, but he's making his presence felt. I mean, that's a heck of a right cross.
No, that's like almost like Frank Poli used to, where you push the punch out. Frank would throw that right cross.
Almost before the pitch crossed the plate. He was quick. There's Reyes. A double and 3 strikeouts tonight. And Jose hits one in the hole. Run down by Hernandez. Out at second. Safe at first as a run comes in to make it 10-0. So Walker comes home with the 3rd run in this top of the ninth.
I'm not going to double up Reyes.
Unless he falls down.
So another Met rout of the Phillies. Not to rub it in, just stating a fact.
I didn't think you were rubbing it in. You were merely stating a fact.
Boy, oh boy, they just have their way with this team.
Well, and you think about it, the Phillies just came from Atlanta. And they've beaten Atlanta 11 out of 13 this year. So there are horses for courses. Travis d'Arnaud has not joined in the festivities tonight. He's gone 0 for 4. And Garcia misses low with the fastball. 2-0. 7th time this year the Mets have reached double digits in runs. (2-0) to d'Arnaud, and he smacks one to left center field. Back in the gap goes Herrera to get it, and that retires the side. Mets tack on 3 in the top of the ninth, 2 on a Granderson home run. Last licks for the Phillies. It's 10-0. Paul Sewald will try and get the final 3 outs.
Well, his last outing against the Dodgers gave up to 2 home runs and suffered a loss, but he's been a pleasant surprise. He has really pitched well for the Mets.
Top of the batting order for the Phillies, Cesar Hernandez, who has a 13-game hitting streak on the line, has struck out, hit a comebacker, and hit a flare to third base. Daniel Nava is out on deck to bat for the pitcher, who's hitting in the 2 spot, and then Odubel Herrera. Mets looking for their 4th shutout victory of the year. And a fastball strike to Hernandez. By the way, we mentioned that the Mets had scored in double figures for the 7th time this year. It's only fair to mention that the Mets have given up double digits 12 times this year, which of course really is the microcosm of the entire season for this team, that the pitching just has not been what anybody would have expected. But the one guy who has is the guy who started tonight, and he was marvelous again. Jacob DeGrom, 6 2/3, no runs, 4 hits, no walks, 9 strikeouts, and in line for his 13th win of the year. 2-2 to Hernandez. And now the only concern is the bruise on his triceps after taking that line drive off the bat of Nick Williams. Sewald jams Hernandez, and it stays 2-2. Coming up tonight on Geico Sports Night after the post-game show, who knows what trades might be looming after Jay Bruce was dealt last night. Basketball and football news as well coming up. Geico Sports Night after the post-game. And Hernandez fouls off the slider. Eric Goodell did well in relief, an inning and a third. No runs, no hits, a walk, 2 strikeouts. And that's low, 3-2. And he got him looking. Fastball on the inside corner. So Sewald fans the first man to face him. That's 12 strikeouts for the Mets tonight.
What could you be looking for? And it's 10-0 Wago.
Now it's Daniel Nava, who's been playing a lot and playing well. But with the call up of Rhys Hoskins, that playing time may evaporate now for Nava. The veteran switch hitter, former Red Sox outfielder. It's fouled away. Final in St. Petersburg. Corey Dickerson hit a 3-run homer in the bottom of the 8th, and the Rays beat the Indians 4-1. Jay Bruce pinch hit, popped up in his only at bat for Cleveland. Rays keep hanging around. They were a game out of the wild card coming into the day. Sewald gets ahead on Nava, 0-2. Lucas Duda was back in the lineup for the Rays tonight. He went 0 for 3 as the DH. He had been scratched yesterday. Swing and a miss. Nava down on strikes, and Sewald has back-to-back strikeouts. And the Phillies are down to their final out.
High fastball. That is 13th strikeout. Phillies strikeout. This game, the Mets have struck out 11 times. So this has been a high strikeout Wago.
It's been a high strikeout year following a high strikeout year. Here's Herrera. And he goes after the first pitch fastball, 0-1. The last 5 months in Major League Baseball have progressively been the highest strikeout months in the history of the game. April set a record, May set a new record, June set a new record, July set a new record. And the Mets and Phillies with 24 strikeouts tonight will probably help August to get another new record. Herrera's gone 1 for 3, extended his hitting streak to 13 games with a blue pit his last time. And he takes one in the dirt, 1-1. And that skips in again. 2-1.
Almost got that gal right there in the front row on the left. Give her a shock.
Well, there is a screen there.
I know. I hate we hit the naturally simple sign. Kind of like that. Is that a purple she's got on there? It's a purple Phillies top.
Herrera pops one up along the left field line. Cespedes comes over into foul ground, and that'll do it. A 1-2-3 ninth for Paul Sewald. Jacob DeGrom gets his 13th win of the year. The Mets hit 4 more home runs at Citizens Bank Park, and they overwhelmed the Phillies 10-0.
Overwhelm. It was a stampede, Garrett. Started out early the first inning. Wilmer Flores with his 14th home run, a 3-run shot. Walker breaks out big tonight. Really struggling, gets 4 hits, 4 for 5. Conforto opposite field 3-run jack. That was his 24th. And then Granderson with a 2-run shot to cap off the evening. So it was all Metsies.
Only concern is for Jacob DeGrom, who got hit on the triceps by a line drive, suffered a bruise. We'll see just how serious that is, but he gets his 13th win of the year, lowers his ERA to 3.21. The game summary presented by Tri-State GMC. For every Mets win, the Mets organization is proud to contribute $2,500 to Northwell Health and the Cats Institute for Women's Health. For more information, visit northwell.edu/cats. This win brings the total contributions so far this season to $127,500. Every Mets win this year means another opportunity to win amazing prizes from Delta Airlines. Go to SNY.